Have you ever wondered about the brains behind the books that become award winners? Welcome to the Nautilus Book Award Spotlight on the Kanavos Show in partnership with Nautilus, Better Books for a Better World. We showcase winners in 34 categories from green living and sustainability to mind-body practices. The author tonight joins this prestigious rank with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Deepak Chopra, Greg Braden, and Peter Canova. I'm Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, aka Kat, your host and fellow Nautilus Award winner.
And we are now live. Kat, you're on.
Thank you for joining us tonight, everyone. It's the Nautilus Book Award Spotlight, and we have an incredible author for you tonight. Do you have questions about your children's health or even mental health? We have Dr. Kathi Kemper as a Nautilus Book Award winner tonight, and she's often described as the new Dr. Spock. Remember Dr. Spock with all of his books on how to raise children? Well, we have a new one with us today, Dr. Kathi Kemper. And she is recognized internationally as the founder of the field of integrative pediatricians. So Dr. Kemper is frequently consulted by media, including the New York Times, the Chicago Tribune, Newsweek, ABC News, the Wall Street Journal, Redbook, and USA Today. So we are so pleased to have her with us this evening to talk about her amazing book, Mental Health Naturally. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kathi Kemper.
Thank you so much, Kanavos. It's really great to be here.
So, to start, do you want me to call you Dr. Kemper, Dr. Kathi? How would you like for me to address you during the show?
You can call me Dr. K. That's what my friends call me.
I love
Actually,
that.
We're both KKs, so we both share the same initials, don't we?
Yes, we do. Okay, so Dr. K, mental health is a big subject area, and it's one that has come to the surface of our consciousness because we have so many people on so much medication for mental health, and you say that you can actually help naturally. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I got interested in this about 10 years ago when a friend of mine, Dr. Jane Foy, is a member of the American Academy of Pediatrics Task Force on Mental Health, was working with the task force to develop a toolkit for pediatricians to address mental health concerns in children. And I asked her if she was going to look at any lifestyle or complementary therapies, and she said, no, is there any evidence that any of that works? And I said, I'm pretty sure there is. Let me look into it and get back to you. So I started collecting data, and it turned out there are many more studies than I was even aware of at the time, showing that simple things like exercise and eating well and sleeping well, attention to common sense measures can have profound effects on mental health, and even since the book came out. And the book was eventually published by the American Academy of Pediatrics, so it's recognized and validated by the largest organization of pediatricians in the world. So this is not some crazy off-the-wall kind of thing. This is mainstream mental health care that's evidence-based.
So this is all the research behind this, and have you actually had any experience with this? Have you known people or spoken to people or heard any feedback back about it?
Yes. When I started doing integrative pediatrics about 20 years ago, I took care of a lot of kids with things like asthma and ear infections. And then over the last 20 years, there's really been a shift in the epidemiology of the kinds of problems that kids are presenting to pediatricians with. So I started seeing a lot of kids with things like ADHD and anxiety and depression. In fact, more and more of those kids, particularly kids who didn't like the label of being depressed or being anxious, but they knew there was something wrong. They maybe were having chronic headaches or chronic tummy aches, missing a lot of school, and they wanted to know what they could do that didn't involve SSRI medications to help them with those kinds of symptoms.
So, before I was a radio show host and before my husband actually paid me more to stay home, I was a special ed teacher, and many of my children were extremely medicated. And I remember working very hard to reduce their medication. And one of the things that I found very helpful was diet. It's amazing how much sugar, flour, and other foods that stimulate and cause children to become very anxious. They can't sit in their seat. It would be like giving us speed and then telling us to sit here, pay attention, and write the answer to an essay. You're jumping out of your skin. So can you give us some examples of how parents who may be watching this show right now could help their children with diet?
Yes, the fundamentals are really healthy habits and a healthy habitat. And one of the core elements of healthy habits is a healthy diet. That means not having Pop-Tarts for breakfast and not having Diet Coke and cookies for after-school snacks. Things like artificial colors, sweeteners, preservatives, white flour, white sugar are really toxic to the brain and wreak havoc with our blood sugar and make it go up and come down very fast. So the simple things that our great-grandmothers might have told us, eat more vegetables, eat more fish, it's brain food, eat more whole grains, beans, legumes, real food that our great-grandparents would have recognized as food is really good for the brain. I can't overemphasize the importance of having adequate levels of things like vitamin D, because as so many of us spend more time inside where it's comfortable. I'm in Ohio right now where it's cold. You're in California where it's warm. In both cases, we're inside to stay comfortable. That means we're not out in the sun as much and we're not getting as much vitamin D. And of course, kids are spending hours and hours inside or at the mall or at jobs or at band practice or whatever. So they're inside and they're not getting as much vitamin D. And we know that vitamin D is not only important for healthy bones, but really important for mental health. About 2/3 of the kids that I test for vitamin D have insufficient levels of vitamin D. And just increasing their vitamin D levels to normal can result in huge improvements in mood and energy levels.
And you can get vitamin D by just being out in the sun, sitting in the sun for 10 minutes. That's all you need. And you've got a great amount of vitamin D right there. So even when it's really cold and I'm in Massachusetts at that time, I will sit in front of the window and let the sun come in just for 10 minutes. And it's amazing how much happier you feel after you've been sitting in the sun. But I want to talk about something that's close to my heart, and that's breakfast for children. Yes. I really believe children need a good, healthy breakfast. And during the winter months, like right now, you're in Ohio and I'm here, and in the mornings it's cold in the desert. One of the things that I make, not only for myself but also for my husband, is oatmeal and muesli mixed together, and I call it Mote Meal. And I actually wrote an article on it for Women's Voices magazine and put the recipe in there, and it went viral. And you use a little tiny crock pot and you mix it all together the night before, and you get the steel cut oats so it doesn't get soggy, and you let it cook slowly overnight. And it's amazing. You get up in the morning and you have a hot breakfast for your children that is not full of sugar. It's not a Pop-Tart like we were talking about. So can you kind of expand a little bit on how important breakfast is to children going to school? Are going to be in there all day?
Well, I agree with you completely. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day in terms of getting started and making sure you don't have a crash in your blood sugar just to start off the day. It's really important to have a well-balanced breakfast that has plenty of fiber in it, like your steel-cut oats are. It could also be whole grain bread with peanut butter on it. It could be eggs. It could be whole grain cereal. You could have a Japanese breakfast and have rice and fish. It doesn't matter so much what you eat as the contents have to be well balanced and provide a steady level of blood sugar and provide the kind of nutrients our brain needs. We need vitamins and minerals to make the neurotransmitters our brain needs to function well. We need at least 4 vitamins and 3 minerals just to make simple neurotransmitters. So we need the B vitamins, we need vitamin D, we need iron, zinc, magnesium, are just essential for making neurotransmitters. And about half of kids don't get enough magnesium. So vitamin D and the B vitamins are my favorite vitamins to recommend for mental health. And in terms of minerals, magnesium is one of my favorites. Also iron. A lot of kids who suffer from depression are actually iron deficient. And so making sure they're getting iron. I make smoothies for breakfast, for my breakfast. And like this morning, I got 3 cups of spinach and put them in some chicken broth and steamed that and put that in my smoothie. And there I got a great deal of iron just to start off the day.
Oh, that sounds really healthy. So, Dr. K, for our audience who are budding authors, or let's say they've got a few books under their wings already, what advice would you give them for writing a book that would be a Nautilus Award quality book?
Start. That's that's my best advice. I think a lot of people have an idea and they think, I'll do it later. I'll do it when I have time. I'll do it, when I retire. I'll do it sometime in the future. But I really encourage you to start where you are and have some discipline about writing some every day, and then asking for feedback from friends and colleagues to see if what you're saying makes sense and if it's useful to them. As I said, when I started writing Mental Health Naturally, which I will hold up a picture of right now.
Great.
I started writing it for a colleague of mine who was a pediatrician. And then I was asked to give talks about mental health naturally, particularly on depression, anxiety, and ADHD for the American Academy of Pediatrics, for the International Pediatric Association. And as I gave these talks around the world, I actually ended up talking to the publisher of the American Academy of Pediatrics at a meeting in Greece, where I was giving a talk there. So I was fairly sure there was a receptive audience because I had talked to so many people. And don't be shy about it. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Talk about it, think about it, and do something about it. Don't wait for another better time.
Oh, that's great advice. And how can our audience find your book, find you?
Well, Mental Health Naturally and my other books are available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com, and you can get them at Barnes & Noble and your favorite independent bookseller.
Great. So what do you see for yourself in the near future? Do you see another book on the horizon?
That's percolating right now.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show with us tonight. It was wonderful to have you and your amazing book. And, mental health naturally. Imagine if your child is crashing from a sugar high, maybe he doesn't have mental health issues. Maybe he has diet issues. And so that's one of the things that Dr. K is talking about, why diet is so important. Thank you again for being with us, Dr. K. This is Dr. Kathi Kemper, and I hope you'll come on again to talk about, natural solutions to some of the health issues that we're facing today.
It's been my pleasure, and I'd look forward to it in the future.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week on the Nautilus Book Awards Spotlight.
Go.
Thanks to all of you for joining us on the Nautilus Book Awards Spotlight. This show is archived and can be downloaded from the Kat Kanavos Show Facebook page and the Kat Kanavos Show website, different from my public Facebook page, Kathleen O'Keefe Kanavos, and website by the same name, and will be posted on nautilusbookawards.com, the Nautilus website. Until next time, read a good book.